Starting at the beginning, we're going to build the containers for our actors, and they're going to start on the Object 1 layer. So we'll just click that to remind us that this is the layer that we're going to be working on. We're going to ignore these two lock layers for the moment. Now looking at my storyboard planner, my beginning section has one actor. It starts at the very beginning and goes to the very end of that section. So the first step is to click in the first frame where you want that actor to begin. I want my actor to begin at the very start. You may want your actor to begin at some other point after the beginning section starts. That's fine. Wherever you make the keyframe, it can be moved and fine-tuned to be exactly where you want. So if you don't get it right or you're not sure exactly where to put it, don't worry, it can always be changed. But I'm going to click there. Then I'm going to press the full keyframe button that's up on the top of the keyboard, right above the number 6. And that puts in keyframe that doesn't have anybody in it right now, so it's hollow. What I'm going to do after I put in my starting keyframe is I'm going to label it. So over here in the properties window, this is for my polar bear. I'll put the name of the actor in so that I remember who that container is for. Because you may end up with some empty containers on the timeline. If you don't label them all that you're going to use, it gets very confusing. And I want the container to match the same length as my beginning background container so that it ends here. And to do that, I'm actually going to click one frame after the place I want it to end. So right above my middle keyframe. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to press the full keyframe button to put in my keyframe, and that creates my container behind it. Let's move on to the middle section, and hopefully you can see your whole middle section. And this one has two actors in it. One that starts at the very beginning, so I already have a keyframe available to use, so that's great. So I'm going to label it. And this one is for my eagle. And my eagle stays on the whole time, so right till there. Again, I want to click one frame after to put my keyframe. So press the full keyframe button and we get my container matching up perfectly. Now my next actor is a canoe, and I think I want the canoe to come out when certain words are said. And the sentence I'm looking for is the Aboriginal people traveled by canoe. So it's kind of halfway through the scene. So let's click there and we'll press return to start and listen for that sentence.
The Aboriginal people traveled by canoe to...
Oh, look at that. Had it almost perfect. Let's see that again.
The Aboriginal...
Alright. I'm now going to use my next layer up, the Object 2 layer, for my next actor, just like on the storyboard planner. And that's right before I hear the sentence. So again, I'm going to click on my full keyframe button. I'm going to come over and label it. This one is canoe. And the canoe goes right to the end of that scene. So I'm going to copy what I did here, click one frame after, press my full keyframe button. There we go. Coming to the end section, I again have two actors. I have the eagle again on my first layer, first object layer. So I'm going to click on that keyframe and label it. This is my second eagle, so eagle 2. And that one goes right to the end. Now you'll notice that there are no keyframes at the very end of the movie, just an end frame. So to create the same thing, we'll press the regular frame button, and that will create our container. My next actor actually happens 3 times, so I'm going to have 3 short containers. First I'm going to name this one, so select the keyframe. This is Lake Ontario. It's going to be text, and let's say it's going to be that long to start, so I'll press my full keyframe button. Then it's going to start up again somewhere around there. Press full keyframe. This one I want to label Lake Ontario 2, and it's going to go about that long. Press my full keyframe button. It's going to start up again, let's say here, full keyframe button. This one I want to label Lake Ontario 3. And this time I'm not going to press the full keyframe button, but the regular frame button to end it off so that all my end frames are lined up. And I've got 3 almost equal containers. If you want to adjust anything, click on a keyframe and move the keyframe. Keyframes are the only things that will move nicely. If you click on an end frame and move it, you end up making a new keyframe and it's a little problematic. So I'm going to undo that and keep it just like that. You'll notice that we haven't added any images yet, only containers. That's what we want. We want to build out our plan from our storyboard planner so we know exactly where everything's going, and then we can make some final tweaks if we need to. So let's go up to the File menu and save, and you'll be ready for the next movie.